I've been thinking a lot lately about how scary it can be to change your life. But I think there comes a point where something begins to feel even scarier, and that's staying exactly the same. Staying in the same patterns or staying in an environment that doesn't feel right anymore. Continuing to build your life around a version of yourself that you have outgrown. I'm actually going through a lot of this in my life right now. I don't have every part of my next chapter figured out, but I do know that there are parts of the old one I don't want to continue carrying forward. So if you feel like you're in that in between as well, then let's talk about it. My name is Alaina, and I created Align with Alaina. And what we talk about here is survival mode, reconnecting with yourself, trusting yourself, and building a life that feels like your own. This is something I'm walking through with you. And if these are the types of conversations you need right now, go ahead and subscribe. A little bit of backstory. I was a hairstylist on and off for about 14 years. I was very good at doing hair. At a certain point, I thought I was never going to stop being a hairstylist because I loved it so much. But over the years, if I look back now, I realized that I was facing extreme burnout in the industry. I, at one point, had to be hospitalized with how severely burnt out and overwhelmed I was. And I really didn't understand what was happening. I just thought that I had to keep working so hard. I had to keep putting in the hours. I had to be okay with, taking so many clients, even feeling like up to 20 clients per day. It was just a lot on me. And even in different salon environments, it just always felt like it led to burnout eventually. And I kept thinking maybe like something was wrong with me. Like why can I not handle the work? Um, I used to love this and everything. It just wasn't making sense, but all this time later, it just makes sense that it's just not the type of work for me. My brain is just built to do different things, and I'm accepting that that's okay and that I can move on to work that feels better for me. I think what I was realizing was that I was spending my energy managing everything else around me, and not just in my workplace, it would be in my home environments as well. I couldn't hear myself anymore because I was too consumed in taking care of everyone and everything else all the time that I was neglecting myself, neglecting my health, and not even realizing it, and thought I had to keep pushing, pushing. So it's like at a certain point, I had to ask myself if I was choosing this because I actually wanted to do it, or was I choosing it because I just know that I needed to survive. Sometimes we choose the familiar route because it feels safer to us, because we know all of the rules to our old life. We know when certain things are going to happen. We It's like we're living in predictability, even though we know it doesn't feel good anymore. Change creates uncertainty. When you don't have that full grip onto life, knowing exactly what is going to happen next, it gets nerve wracking. But the familiar path doesn't always mean that we're aligned. What area of your life have you been feeling this in? If you want to go ahead and share, you're more than welcome to leave a comment down below. I've spent a lot of time worrying about what would happen if I never changed, if things just continued to stay the same and I never left my current situation. I really had to look at things like, if I didn't do anything different, like I would be in the same exact place a year from now. And I don't want to keep doing that. I don't want to keep staying in the same place because I'm constantly thinking and worrying and pondering on, the future. It's like I had to take action in a way that felt good for me to move forward. I started getting more and more scared about me staying exactly the same. Like, it was freaking me out to the point that I cannot explain. So, with all that being said, I started taking chances on myself. I started moving in ways that felt scary, but I knew that taking these actions, taking these steps, taking these leaps of faith would eventually move me in a new direction. Like every day slowly I started taking things out that weren't serving me anymore and putting things into my life, doing things that would serve me serve me a higher purpose. I would start doing things that would direct me towards that life I knew I was supposed to be living. I just want you to know that nothing in your life was wasted. Everything up until this very moment, right, has taught us something. There's something we could take from the experiences. There's something that we could take and we can make ourselves stronger. We become wiser because of what we went through, and we wouldn't be the person that we are today if we didn't have those past experiences. We had to go through all of what we had gone through to make us that better version of ourselves. And, it might not all make sense right now, but as time goes on and the more you walk the path, the more you're going to be like, okay, I had to go through, this experience to help me here. If I didn't go through that experience, I wouldn't be here. So leaving what you know isn't, it doesn't mean that the old chapters are meaningless. Everything still means something. Doing hair for so long, it taught me things that are helping me move forward. If I didn't have all of that time in customer facing work, literally having to touch other people, having to be so close in other people's space and trying to navigate, keeping my own calm composure in certain situations, and just the whole journey in itself. It had taught me things that are helping me move forward in my journey, my experience through how I work, what I do for work. And you don't necessarily have to hate something to be finished with it either. I didn't hate hair. I just was burnt out from it, from doing it for so long, and I knew that I had more creativity to give in different aspects. Like, I could help a lot more people on a bigger scale than what I was doing one-on-one, and not have to give all of that energy like I was. So to me, that's like a win-win situation. The grief that you feel from leaving something, it doesn't automatically make the decision you made a wrong decision. It's okay to be sad about leaving something that you knew for so long. It's okay to experience that sadness of it, because yes, it was part of your life. You don't have to deny it. You don't have to try to hide, your past. It just is what it is. You can be grateful for a chapter and still know you're finished reading it. You can outgrow an environment before you have the resources to immediately leave it. Sometimes we want the things on the outside to change so bad, but when they're not changing, when things are not moving, that's when we have to stop to look inside of ourselves and understand that something inside of us needs to change in order to see the outside world change. Just because you're over something, just because something doesn't work for you how you want it to anymore, it doesn't mean you have to just automatically blow up your life and quit your job or just run away from the relationship. Breathe and understand that there are ways to move forward so you don't go back into that same burnout pattern. And just because you're somewhere that you don't necessarily want to keep staying in, you don't have to convince yourself that this is going to be your forever just because you don't see the full picture, the full way out of whatever it is you're in right now. You're not escaping, you're building your way out. For me, building my way out of the situations I no longer wanted to stay in were creating my site, Align with Alaina. It was continuing to do writing and journaling, making videos, even though it does feel scary to put myself out there. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that as well. But it's like I knew that I had some sort of value to give people. And that's why I'm here. For me, creating workbooks for women like you and just creating income in different ways, realizing that things don't have to be so hard. Finding quiet time for myself has been very helpful. And just building more autonomy for myself. If you're trying to create your new life, it's most likely not going to happen overnight. So just ask yourself, what can change before everything actually all changes? If everything is starting from within you, what are those ideas that come up for you that just feel better for you to do? Maybe for you it is finding a quiet space. Maybe it's going on a nature walk or a hike, swimming. Maybe the one thing that you could do right now is to save some money, open a new account, or maybe some thing you've been wanting to work on but you've been putting off. You may need to just set one boundary. There may be one application to fill out. It could just be one decision, 1 hour that just fully belongs to you. It's these little pieces that you choose to do that will eventually create the life that you have always dreamed of. It doesn't just show up overnight. It starts with you implementing the things that that version of you would be doing. So just remember for yourself, I don't have to wait until I'm living my next chapter to fully be that woman that I know I could be. It's all about trusting yourself again. I'm not sure what you went through, what you've gone through, I know some of us have been through some very scary experiences, and we've been put into places that don't serve us because we weren't trusting ourselves at those times. So it's okay to trust yourself again. It's okay to feel safe in your own body and trust what your mind says to you, what you really want. It's okay to take yourself seriously before any sort of proof arrives. It's okay to keep promises to yourself. You don't have to put every decision you've ever made back on trial just because fear or doubt decides to come up. You can be scared, but you can still move forward. That's the difference. You can either choose to keep being exactly the same and know that next year you'll be sitting right where you are now, or you can be scared and you can move. Let's do a little reflection. This is something that you could either write down in a journal, put in your phone, your notes app, or if you want to share, you could comment down below as well. So I have 3 questions for you. What feels familiar but no longer feels like me? What am I continuing because I know how to do it, not because I actually want it? If I didn't need the whole entire plan, what action could I take today to move forward? Go ahead and leave a comment with that small step you could take for yourself today. These are the types of questions I ask myself, the things that I journal on personally, because I want to continue to keep being a better me. And if some of the tools I use for myself can guide you to being a better you, that's all I really want. This is exactly why I created this channel and created Align with Alaina. If you're unsure exactly where you are, I have a free survival mode self-check you can take. Check the description below or head to my profile. You'll find it there. I also have deeper guided resources for you depending on where you're at in your journey. Everything is linked down below. If conversations about leaving survival mode, choosing yourself, trusting yourself, and building a life that truly feels like your own, if these are the kinds of conversations that you need, stick around, subscribe. I'm figuring a lot of this out in my own life too, so you're not going to be alone on the journey. You don't need to know exactly where you're going. You can recognize what no longer fits. Your old chapter wasn't wasted. You don't need every single resource today. Just be honest with yourself. Take the next best step and then take another one. That's what I'm doing too, and we can do this together.